your early 20s, you had, I'm sure, an amazing time. You're young. You can come back from drinking and drugs and still do shit the next day, and girls and blah, blah, blah. We didn't have that as comedians, but we did have some amazing camaraderie.
Yes.
Like, probably your thing was better, but I wouldn't.
No, I don't think so.
For anything, give up like those 3 years when I lived in New York, right out of college, working in the clubs and being in the clubs every single night of my life, seeing the same people.
It was your whole world.
My whole world and my social world, and there was bumps here and there, but basically you're hanging out with a bunch of funny people who you like a lot. So it
wasn't uber competitive.
It was.
I
wrote a book I wrote one novel in my life, and it was about my early days. And the epigraph at the very beginning says, they loved each other because they shared a dream, but they hated each other because there wasn't enough of it to go around. And that kind of sums it up. We loved each other, but we knew it was kind of like the army. Like a lot of us going into battle are going to get shot, meaning not going to make it. Of the guys I started with.
Do you still have that core people that are?
Well,
that you would feel that way even with everyone's changes and fame and success.
Some, but it's just the truth of the matter that people just don't feel comfortable on either ends of it when they're hanging out with someone who's on a very different level of success.
Yeah.
The person who isn't as successful, I guess, feels bad that they're not. The person who is doesn't feel necessarily I'm better than you, but he knows you think
that
you can't cut through.
Well, then
that.
Some people turn that inward and start playing out those archetypes or whatever right there, and then they behave that way.
What do you mean?
I think I agree with we shared a dream. The one thing about that I remember the 80s in Atlanta being in a band, and bands were really important. It's not like now, bands were.
I know. What happened to bands? It's amazing the way the culture.
It was your gang. It was your,
Right.
we're back then, had to escape the horrible angst of suburban Atlanta.
Back then, music was guy bands, and the rarity was the female rock star. Now, all the female rock stars are women singers. Yeah, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying this is where the culture.
Yeah, it's tipped.
And it's very hard to find 20. All the great bands are older, like you guys.
Yeah. I think that
it just went out of vogue. It was a style that went out of vogue, like the novel. People used to read novels. Then TV came in and they went, well, these are very slow TVs, these things. And, if you sell 50,000 copies of a novel, that's like a huge hit.
You're like, have you seen Rhoda?
Rhoda.
Wasn't the name of that, wasn't that the
TV show?
Yeah. But I'm saying instead of sitting around, you're like, oh.
Hey, thanks for watching the clip. Hit the subscribe button now so you never miss out on our Club Random content that's posted daily.